Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Bill Williams from Atlanta, Georgia, coming to you live for the Influencers Podcast today. It's Wednesday, and we're bringing on today Charley Mann, the founder of law firm Alchemy. It's going to be an exciting podcast today. Welcome to the show, Charley. How you doing?
I'm great, Dr. Bill. I'm doing great. I'm really excited to talk with you today. I always appreciate your energy on the previous episodes that you had, and I hope to live up to some of the guests that you've had on before.
Absolutely. People that know how to do podcasts, they're experts. And I know that you're not just a coach, you're not just a podcaster, you're well rounded. And I'm looking forward to sharing with our audience what you know. And there's a lot of parallels between what you do and what I've done in my career as a dentist and mastermind leader and podcaster to dentist. So let's have at it. Let's have a lot of fun finding out what you do at law firm Alchemy. Let's start off with giving us your origin story.
Yeah, so coming out of college, I was actually a theater major in college, but I was dating my then girlfriend, now wife, mother of my two amazing daughters. And one of the things I wanted to be more than being an actor, honestly, Bill, was I wanted to be a husband and a father. And yeah, there was a certain part of me that I didn't quite understand at the time, that I wanted to take on responsibility in order to make money, right? This is the initial itch of the idea of being an entrepreneur, except I didn't know how to express it back then. And I was looking just for opportunities because I didn't want to wait tables. I didn't relish the idea of being a starving artist. That was not the romantic dream for me that it might be for some, and that's okay if that's their dream, but just wasn't for me and where I wanted to go in life. And I ended up finding this opportunity with a guy by the name of Ben Glass, who was running a law firm, Ben Glass Law, and this company, Great Legal Marketing. And kind of the quick but honest version of it was over the next 13 years, I sort of took over operationally, constructing, building, marketing, selling, everything for the most part over in Great Legal Marketing. Until it came time for me to really become master of my own destiny, my own fate, and launch my own enterprise. And along the way, getting the opportunity to spend rooms with people like Dan Kennedy and Brian Kurtz and Robin Robbins and all these folks who have been huge inspirations for me over time, and picking up along the way this set of principles in marketing and approach to life that like I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm sure the people that you have coached as well, Bill, they don't know how to express this feeling of like, why am I hardwired essentially to be unemployable? And we don't always know how to express it. I mean, for me, my father was an FBI agent, my mother was a teacher, and the word entrepreneurship, like entrepreneur, wasn't something we talked about. It was get a good degree, get a good job, be middle management, career paths that make sense, except they never made sense to me. And so I'm fortunate, truly, that falling in line, learning from someone like Ben, who then put me in rooms with people like Dan and all these other, and Brian and all these other folks, that I heard language that articulated this dream and desire I had of being this weird class of people, the entrepreneurs, the creators, the job creators, the builders, the people who are setting the next standard and are living these wonderful lives of independence where I can get as much as I look for from the world by putting out as much as I can possibly put out that is of value of others. That's so exciting. That's so cool. And yeah, that was the toppling that brought me to where I am today.
Well, you certainly travel the GKIC road, Dan
Yes.
Kennedy, Bill Glazer. Those guys are in my background too as foundational pieces to putting the puzzle together for me. So yeah, I know where you've been. I know where you got your background. Tell us about why law.
Part of it was circumstantial. Now, I will say, my father, before being in the FBI, he actually got his law degree and he worked in a law firm. So there's this tangential thread that exists there. But I wasn't looking to go to law school. I haven't gone to law school. I didn't set out to work in a law firm specifically. But when I started working with Ben, and he had his law firm and he had Great Legal Marketing, this opportunity to learn the skills I was learning and to coach good people just sort of happened. And I think a lot of people take, unfortunately, an antagonistic view towards the legal profession. Some of it, let's be honest, and I would be honest with my clients as well, some of it is earned because there's a certain category or class of lawyers that don't represent maybe the profession as well. And a lot of times those are lawyers who are in the white shoe firms or, doing the corporate work that a lot of people want to shake their fists at. And it's a misrepresentation of what your hometown lawyer is doing in order to help the people of the community. And I actually find that to be endlessly fascinating and compelling, this idea of how do we take what for so long has been one of the most honorable professions. And even today, you ask a kid what they want to be when they're older, right? It's doctor, policeman, fireman, lawyer. These things are still all grouped together. We see them on TV all the time. And yet the trust barometer is continually low for lawyers. So we have an interesting challenge, which any challenge is really just an opportunity in disguise, right? And on top of that, and I'm sure you've seen this in the dental world, people go to school to learn this trade, but then they have this weird thing, this miswired component of them that said, hey, you're not only going to do that trade, you're actually going to own the unit that performs that trade for other people, that offers this service to other people. And now we have to reconcile your identity. And for me, Bill, identity is absolutely everything in this game. We have to reconcile the identity of being a lawyer. You've gone to school for it. You were told so long, hey, you are going to serve people. You're going to represent people. You're going to put the client first. The law is a jealous mistress, all these other things that get cooked into their brains. But then you're an entrepreneur and you can't really just be a perfect 50-50 on those things. Because once you become an entrepreneur, let's be honest, Bill, the game's over. That's where you really want to be. It's so exciting. It's so thrilling. And so how do they reconcile the idea of, what if I'm not even a lawyer within my own law firm because I'm so busy building the law firm? And that type of work, that reconciling of identity it's what I enjoy so much. And the legal profession happens to offer a preponderance of identity collapse, identity rebuild that I will always love working in. So it might have been circumstantial at first, but now it's a full buy-in, full love for the profession.
Well, that speaks a lot to what motivates you. I can see you see people that are doggedly tied to their profession, and they're walking around blind, not knowing how to build the business. They know how to do the business, but working on the business, that's your job to kind of bring out the fire, bring out the entrepreneur that's hidden within.
Yeah.
You have to do what we call the transformation.
That's right. And it's when you see it happen, like when you watch that something change behind the eyes, or you hear them and they've said it 6, 7, 8, 40 times. They said, I really want to stop doing so much lawyering. And then finally you see it happen and they walk into like the next mastermind meeting and they go, I reduced my caseload from 50 to 10. And I just wish I had done it 3 years earlier. And you're like, doesn't matter. You did it now. And that's the most important thing that has changed. You actually took the action and you watch them express the sense of freedom and joy and relief. And they're kind of like giggling to themselves and like, yeah, and I think I'm going to get rid of the last 10 within the next year. And you're like, yeah, you are. That's exactly what's going to happen. And I'm so happy for you. And that moment of joy and inspiration where
you're basically saving these people from their own self-destruction.
Yeah. I mean, look, the law is filled, similar with medical professions, is filled with depression, substance abuse, bad family relationships, and that, I don't know, that
severe debt is a killer too.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you see it even in any medical profession, it piles up even more than for lawyers or more years of it. There's just more expense. It's a lot more expensive to open a dental office than it is to open a law firm, right? There's equipment costs that go into it, just plain and simple. There are simple things that cost more. But yeah, for lawyers too, there is this sense of debt. There's this sense of, where am I going to get the next case? Because so many of the core, and I work predominantly with what we would consider the consumer law side, which is personal injury, criminal defense, family law, and estate planning. it would also include things like bankruptcy and immigration, Social Security, disability. I focus on those first core four for myself and for the business. But you see them, open these businesses, and so many of them are reliant on being in a reactionary state. I don't get to go and make someone have a car accident as a lawyer. I have to wait for someone to have a car accident. And I have to be prepared. I have to be in wait, ready to attract the attention and then convert that person into a client. And I think that causes, well, I know I shouldn't say, I think that's guesswork when I've been up close with the professionals. It causes a sense of fear and dread, because there's this weird reconciling. I keep using that word, reconciling the hey, people have to get injured. People have to get hurt. People have to go through a divorce.
You have bad luck before you can succeed.
Yeah. And so and fortunately the really smart ones just understand, like, look, that's a function of the profession. If the lawyers weren't there, it would be far worse for the consumers. But you still have to deal with that fact that you're waiting for something to go wrong. And that's part of the reason why people have a tough time with lawyers, right? They're mostly there to react to something bad that has happened, not to produce something good.
Well, hopefully they're bringing solutions that are needed, and that's the good part. Tell us, you've been identifying some of the success secrets that you model. I can understand that. You change the mindset of the lawyer, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
and then you make them aware that there's got to be an attraction process.
Mm-hmm.
Then what? What else do you do that would be something you do that sets you apart?
It's a little banal, but consistency. There are a lot of people out there who are maybe in the widget world, right? They want to tell you the next little tactic that you're supposed to do. And they're always kind of moving the ball on, oh, no, you have to follow the algorithm in this direction. Or, oh, no, you got to be clever in this way. And what I want every, not just law firm owner, but every business owner to do is hold on to consistency, because most people, including business owners, are inconsistent. It's the trap of being an entrepreneur. When you are the boss of the organization, you can send us down whatever winding path, down any rabbit hole of your choosing. And it's tough then to deal with, hey, to run a really great business, consistency, doing the same thing over and over again. For example, a referral playbook that I put in the hands of all of my clients. It's as simple as, we're going to do a monthly print mailer to a list. We're going to do a weekly email, and we're going to do 2, if possible, in-person meetups every single week. And if you just stay consistent with that, the referrals will pile on for you. But that doesn't sound as sexy as, how do you get 1,000 followers on Instagram? And so the next person walks along and says, I'm going to show you how to get 1,000 followers on Instagram. And I'm the one sitting there going, wait, did you do 2 coffees this week? I mean, I get it. That's not the most scintillating message out there, but I know that it works, and I'm willing to stick to, the NFL version, stick to a great ground game. So that way, when we do run the play action pass, and we do add on the eccentric piece of marketing, we have a ground game that continues to function and produces yards, aka produces clients for the law firm.
You pretty much nailed it there. And you talk about Alchemy, your name of your firm, law firm Alchemy. That reminds me of the mindset. You're changing a lawyer into an entrepreneur. You're taking them from a mindset belief that somebody else does it to they have to be active. They have to be in the business of meeting people where they are. That's one thing I found too, Charley, was when I did walkabout as a dentist, I would go out and walk in the community, meet people, shake hands, be a part of the community. That's what set us apart from the very beginning. To know that you're known. I teach something called the 7 mountains of marketing. And you talk about, the education mountain, and the political mountain, the religious mountain, the economic business model mountain, the family model, sports, media. You take those 7 mountains, and you become the first person people think about in those mountains. If you're needing a dentist, you become the one they think about when there's a need. Lawyer, same thing. And you segment your market, and then you target your market. So I'm sure as an expert GKIC marketer, you know these things.
Oh yeah.
You know what to do.
Yep. And I think most importantly, and anyone who's been around the GKIC world knows that there's kind of a difference between I don't like using this term because I think it's unfair to a degree, but it's an easy term to use, which is the wantrepreneur versus the entrepreneur. I don't really like casting too much aspersions on the people who are trying to get to that point, who are sort of maybe side hustling or they're testing out ideas, because I would rather refer to that as, say, an entrepreneur in training than a wantrepreneur. But there is that within the GKIC world. There were people who, and by the way, it happens in every coaching business. There are people who buy because they believe that in buying, they are changing their identity, that in buying alone, they experience transformation. But we know that the real difference, including in the GKIC world, there were people who could say things like, oh, make sure that you're incorporating direct mail follow-up campaigns. And then there were people who are actually doing that. My greatest challenge for myself in law firm Alchemy is, can I prove to the law firms that what I teach to them doesn't just work in their law firms, it works in my business too, and would work in any other business. I send a monthly print mailer. I do a lot more than a weekly email. And I do regular networking whenever possible, because that playbook should work across any industry, any profession, if it is following simply core principles rather than just the latest tactics.
The funniest thing that came to my mind when you said that was, I interview a lot of marketers on the Influencer podcast, scores of them. And I rarely find one who does what they teach. You know what they all tell me? I'm so busy, I just use referrals. I just grow by referrals. They don't market themselves because they're as busy as they want to be, I guess. But I always found in our practice, 50% referrals is what I want. And I want 50% coming from all the other things I'm doing, because you get a whole different group of people when you do it that way. Sometimes one's better than the other, but each one has a different niche. The people you have in your practice might not know the people you want to be meeting.
Yeah.
You have to reach out.
And here's the thing, Bill, that's what I hear is the difference between immature and mature marketing. Immature marketing is, there's only one thing that works. You should only get referrals for your business, or you should only be getting online leads. It's also what I would call but versus and marketing. There's a lot of but marketing. Oh, I could do that, but. If we change but to and, that's when we start getting omni-channel, multimedia, whatever we want to call it. Brian Kurtz talks about that a lot. Obviously, Dan Kennedy increasingly talked about it over the last 15 years. But the idea of having a multimedia approach where we're saying, and I can do a referral campaign, and I can do email marketing, and I can test Facebook ads, and I can do Google LSAs. If we start saying and in our approach and building a balanced business, that's great, because you don't know. Look, we can all fairly estimate that referrals will often be your best customers, really high lifetime value, etc. However, bringing people in, say, either directly as customers or at least getting them on some type of list that you can nurture over time, those customers down the line can be some of your best referral sources. They will refer people in, and that will feed the referral side. And that's mature marketing, is not putting all these lines between everything that you do, but saying this is a web of functionality. And that's my greatest joy. When someone opens up to that idea, I go, here we go. We're going to make a bunch of money together. When you open up to that, we'll make tons of money together. Yeah.
I was trained with Jay Conrad Levinson, guerrilla marketing. And he said, be seen everywhere all the time. If you're only doing referrals, you're not being seen anywhere hardly at all. And you're never being talked about in the community except by a small core. So, I'm with you. Hey, tell us about your company's motto, Charley.
So the company's motto, and it's funny, we're at a point right now, Bill, where we're continuing to play a little bit with some of our messaging, right? Because it evolved a little bit. I mean, the company is now, we're about to hit 8 months old, right? And we talk about helping core values-driven law firm owners scale their lives in law firms. We're starting to play with it. And the reason we're playing with it is we're figuring out how do we deliver the idea of, shoot, if you have a great idea right here while we're talking, Bill, I'm all ears for it, which is, how do we communicate the idea of transformation and of identity? And so we're playing around with, improving a law firm owner's entrepreneurial skill set in marketing and leadership, even if they have zero experience in either one of those categories before. So that's one of the things that we're working towards. I'll focus instead on just simply the word alchemy here and why it's law firm alchemy in particular. The idea of alchemy is, right, it's an impossible transformation. Turning lead into gold is the most known form. Like when people talk about alchemy, that's what we often associate it with. I'm really interested in the idea of tackling what feels like an impossible transformation, because most of the people that I work with, these fantastic law firm owners, just like I know you've experienced, they come in saying, yeah, but that's not going to be me. I'm not going to have $1 million firm. Oh no, I'm not going to be a good marketer. No, yeah, I'm not going to, you don't have to tell me about this abundant stuff. Nah. Then one day, they get on the coaching call, they walk into the mastermind group and sort of sheepishly they go, I get it now. It's like, yeah, we just achieved an impossible transformation. You said it was impossible, yet here we are. So that's why alchemy is part of the company name. And I am delighted every single time that I explain that idea, because saying that I'm in the business of impossible transformations, I mean, that gets me up and excited every day.
Yeah, working with the masterminds, that was always one of my biggest kicks.
Yeah,
I worked as a coach, worked as a consultant, but the mastermind, when you gather 10 or 12 together with like mind and same goal, develop their practice, develop their business, and you've done it before, you've seen it happen before, and you can get the result. That's what's exciting. Tell us who your ideal client is now, Charley.
So I love working with law firm owners when they start with me, who are between about $500,000 to around $2 million per year. And there's a specific reason for it. There's this interesting transition at that point in time where they'll have, say, 4 to 12, maybe up to 15 employees. And they're going through this transition in the 7 stages of law firm leadership that I coach on, where they're moving from what I call the head of the family to captain of the ship. And what they tend to be wrestling with at this point in time is either there's still some scaling up that they need to do on their marketing, or, and really it's leadership wise, they have to start figuring out how do they move themselves to the top of the food chain and command the ship as opposed to appease the family. And this is, I mean, you see it all the time, right? You never want to see the owner just get walked all over by the staff. But a lot of times they sort of say like, oh, it's my work family. Yeah, but you got a real family. This is your crew, and your crew wants to come in and do great work to achieve the greater mission, because they're going to go home to their families, and that's who they're going to identify as their family. That's who they're focused on, and they're going to make decisions based on that. Now, you want to make it a great place for people to be. You want to make it a lot of fun, I guess we'll use that word, but where people come in and they're excited. They love showing up. So I love working with folks who are starting in that space between $500,000 to $2 million. Every single one of them, mother or father. I work with people who have families. I actually say I'm terrible at coaching bachelors. I'll be honest, Bill. I'm terrible at coaching bachelors because I have 2 kids, 9 and 6 years old. I'm a very involved father. I have crafted my business around that life. And I'm not the right person to go to someone and say like, well, you're a bachelor who has free time. Great. Awesome. Put in those 12, 14-hour days. More power to the people who do that. That's great. If that's what you want to do, I'm just not the person for it. I am for the person who says, I want to be at soccer practice. I'm coaching the basketball team. I love being able to pick up and drop off my kids from dance. Those folks, those are my perfect clients. People that want to have a lifestyle. Yes, exactly. And we can help them balance that with moving, say, towards that 8-figure mark. But, I'm sure as you've seen and experienced, especially with some clients who come to me where their kids are transitioning, say, to college age, it's exciting. They are entering a new entrepreneurial phase in their lives where they can put even more back into the practice. And a lot of times those are the firms where we're moving from, say, $4 million and we're looking towards how do we double that and then crest the 8-figure mark. And that's a really fun journey as well. Well, I would say that anybody who gets involved with you would be pretty fortunate because they have somebody who has seen the other side. And that's the key.
So how do you go about finding your clients? You mentioned referrals. You do some outbound marketing also?
Yeah, and we're amping this up consistently. So right now, our one of the main channels that we actually use to find new people who get on the list, certainly referrals remains right now number one, because all of our stuff to this point has been more of a high ticket model. It's been one-on-one coaching and mastermind. We're looking into some. I hate using the term low ticket because it sounds cheap. I would, and I don't want to say mass market either. It's how can we take the core and make it available to those who are in that earlier stage of the journey, right? So we're working on that right now. But I also find a lot of people who come to me from LinkedIn. It's a place where I currently get a lot of people on the list and have acquired new clients. We are going to test out some LinkedIn and Meta/Facebook advertising. I have experience in that from the past. And then honestly, the podcast is another space because it's where I can connect with other, to use the title of your podcast, influencers, and have them on the podcast and then reach their networks. So it's sort of a combination of media production and referral marketing sort of mixed together. So those are the main channels right now. The other thing that I'm looking forward to is going and speaking, because there are a few things more powerful than a good speaking engagement.
That's right. When you're out there in the community that you serve, speaking on their platforms, that's where you make your mark right there.
Oh, yeah.
When your audience is sitting there paying attention, not in front of their smartphones and TVs, and that makes a big difference.
Oh, gosh, yes. I love in person.
Yeah. Well-defined products. You spoke about the mastermind, talk about the one-on-ones. What other products do you have?
So I'll actually share a product that is launching shortly, and it is the sales and money mindset for law firm team members. You can probably hear the level of specificity in that. One, it's sales and money. We're going right for one of the biggest issues that I encounter for clients. And this is something we want to do with courses, which is produce world-class training systems for the members of a law firm, because so often when I'm having a coaching conversation with a law firm owner, one of the things that they wish that they had a better way to communicate some of these ideas to their team. Problem is, sometimes the team isn't ready to hear it from the owner, but they're willing to hear it from someone else who, quite frankly, has experience doing the training and even has experience, myself, working in a law firm at just an intake level. So really at the front lines of a law firm. So not only is it sales and money, but it's mindset. There are plenty of people out there who train on the tactics of intake, for example, the tactics of sales. Why do some of these things fail so often? Because the person comes into or tries to say the words, but in the back of their head, they're thinking, well, the most expensive thing that I own is a used car that I purchased for, $9,000. And I'm trying to get this person to put a $10,000 retainer for a family law case that may end up costing as much as $22,000. And they're just having their hearts racing. They're having a pseudo panic attack. How do we deal with that mindset issue? And then for law firm team members, that's where I said, it's about the team, because I know that if I can get the team to perform at a higher level, I know that my coaching client is going to be really, really, really happy. And I have experience training team members on marketing and other issues in the past, so we're applying that there. So that's one of our upcoming courses that we have. And I'll tell you, Bill, one of the things we want to do is change the game fundamentally with courses. And this comes from, the experience you and I had with GKIC of getting stuff in the mail. There's so many digital courses available. We are going to develop physical course playbooks that get sent to the office that they will have on hand. So that way it's easy reference. They don't have to figure out where's my login. It's the core materials are right there in front of you, because I know, for example, right here, I just recently resubscribed to Magnetic Marketing and their print newsletter. I'm sure they have online stuff. I just want the print newsletter. But they sent me this big old book of the 74 funnel swipe file. That's the type of thing that people need in order to achieve success.
Yeah, another one of our good buddies, Dave D, Magnetic Marketing.
Dave's great. Dave is the guy who he taught a question that changed my sales process forever, which was as simple as getting to the end of a conversation and saying, What do you think? Those 4 words really changed the way that I sell. Yeah, Dave's someone who I look forward to. I don't know if Dave's listening, but hey, Dave, at some point, I'm looking forward to being in a mastermind group with you because I think he's a very
Mhm.
smart guy who really is far more generous than he ever gets credit for.
Excellent guy. Yeah. What platforms do you use when you're talking about uh, reaching out online?
So right now, so LinkedIn, in terms of a social platform, that's one of the most valuable ones. And then in the resource that would be so if LinkedIn is an external resource, an internal resource that we use is ClickFunnels. That is how we did our website. That's how we do our email marketing. Uh, I'll be totally honest. I think there are things about ClickFunnels that need to be fixed. I'm not all the way in. I'm not a full-on cult member for it. I am a cult member for Russell. I think Russell Brunson is absurdly bright, driven, fantastic to listen to. Unfortunately, ClickFunnels 2.0 hasn't exactly lived up to the expectations that I feel like I purchased. But it's at least been solid enough that it allowed me to launch a business easily, comfortably, with mostly all-in-one. We use Kajabi for our software or for our course delivery.
So tell me about a value that you get out of ClickFunnels that you like.
It is definitely the all-in-one nature of it, which is the blessing and curse, because when I purchased, I really thought it was full-on all-in-one, and there were some features in waiting, shall we say. What I like is having a good email marketing platform. It has worked very well for us on the email marketing front. And then obviously the thing that ClickFunnels does so well is the development of a simple, fast, but excellent funnel. I mean, in an hour, I can go from this is the thing that I want to give away to people to having my landing page, thank you page, welcome email, tagging structure, all of that really, really fast. So I appreciate that so much about ClickFunnels because it allows me to move from idea to operational system in very little time. And that's the blessing of all-in-one. I don't have to deal with all of the different plugins. I don't need to use Zapier for 15 different widgets and gadgets and gazmos galore. I just plug it all into one place and I'm happy with it.
Plug and play, all in one place.
Yeah.
Now, your experience with it, you like it, but it's missing something. Tell us something you wish they would add to it.
I wish that their course delivery system had been up to expectations from the beginning. And it's actually a place where I wish that the customization was maybe less. This is one of the blessings of Kajabi, for example. There are limitations, there are more limitations around how courses get delivered on Kajabi that makes it easier. In the same way that funnels get constructed in ClickFunnels, constructing a course in Kajabi, it's very quick. It's very easy. I can get it uploaded, constructed very fast. Whereas in ClickFunnels, it is clunky. And because it appears that's one of the areas where maybe they want some more customization, they want some more features in the future. So it right now does not deliver a great end user experience. And to me, one of our core values is intention. And if I cannot provide what appears to be an intentional experience for my end user, I will go and find the platform that does allow for that.
I agree with you. I use Kajabi and benefits, but limitations.
Always.
So, digital media marketing as a marketer, teaching people how to market. Do you tell them to go into paid digital media much? LinkedIn, Google, Facebook?
Yeah, I do. And for the law firm owners, we often talk about advertising percentage. And I like to separate advertising from marketing because marketing is, you and I both know, it's so much of the stuff that you do. It's how you answer the phones, it's how you represent yourself in the community. So I talk with law firm owners about advertising budget, which there are still law firms that successfully use television, radio, even billboards as part of an omnipresent strategy. It still works. Now, it works oftentimes when you also have the digital channels locked in. You're doing your Google pay-per-click. You're doing your Google local service ads. And the spend range that I'm looking for is between, I start with the really wide range of 5 to 20%. The honest range is I want to see you between about 10 to 15% of revenue being spent on advertising. But actually, as the firm gets bigger and bigger and bigger due to economies of scale, but also the need to drive more leads, you will see firms that are in excess of 20% of their revenue going towards advertising, all the way up towards 30% in, say, an 8-figure, a 15, 20, $25 million firm, just because, and it would be like a long diatribe. The way that the economics work out, you lean in on that spend because you have efficiencies from the size of the firm in the quality of lawyers, quality of systems, quality of paralegals, et cetera. So that's where I'm going to put the advertising percentage. I mean, look, we've both heard that the national statistical average is like 7%, which if we look at it and say, okay, if 7% is what most people are spending on marketing, let's go towards the Dan Kennedy principle of, if I'm willing to pay more to acquire a client than you are, I will outrun you. I will outpace you. So if I push that percentage to 12%, I'm now giving myself an immediate market advantage, because most others are uncomfortable with that type of marketing, that level of spend. So now I just have to be a little bit more efficient on my systems to make sure that that 5% is, which it shouldn't be if you're running a good firm, that's not going to be the difference between life or death for you. If anything, it's going to be the difference between static and dynamic growth.
That's exactly what we found in the dental profession too, that economy of scale allows you to do much more when it makes it easier to dominate.
Yes.
So that's good. I like it. We're on track right now. Give me a couple of hits on the 5-star client experience, things that you do to stand out.
So I'll talk about the mastermind meetings, because this is where we focus on the value of intention. And when we talk about the schedule, I will tell you that for our mastermind meetings, putting together the agenda for it, the balance of hot seats, training sessions, guest speaker, workshop, we spend probably more time working on the agenda than we will actually spend in the mastermind meeting itself. And we have one coming up for it's nearly 2 full days. And that for me is that 5-star client experience is a level of intentionality where our focus is on the energy flow of the day. We've all been to meetings where, and I think this is the number one mistake that is made at most mastermind meetings. The person facilitating it forgets that human beings need to go to the bathroom. It's a wild mistake. And they have so few bathroom breaks. And what you have is people who are getting to the end of someone's hot seat and they're tuning out because all they can think about is how badly they need to pee, or how hungry they are, or how they want a cup of coffee. So we're thinking about, how do we make sure that stuff is easily available? Frequent enough bathroom breaks. How do we make sure that there's always a next step forward, that there's no such thing as dead air during the meeting? But also, when are they focused on someone's hot seat? And when can they sit back and enjoy a presentation? How do we allow members to be highlighted in their expertise? Then how do we also produce opportunities to challenge what they perceive as their expertise, but needs to be upgraded? It's this multifactorial, highly intentional approach that produces that 5-star experience for them.
Yeah, I like it. I'm reliving my own masterminds that we gave, listening to you talk about how you bring it out. Interestingly enough, I tried to figure out the best topic I could teach in my very first mastermind that I gave.
Yeah.
Why was I different? Why was I going to be able to command the respect of the room? So I figured out, the one thing I did different was I was consistent. Consistency is a new currency, right? And so I was able to produce at a high rate consistently for 15 years. I think it was $10,000 a day. It was an average. And so I made a 1-hour lecture out of that topic. And I just thought about, okay, now what do I do that is so significant that I'm consistent? And I put it together, and a lecture turned into a book. And I mean, it just kept going and going, and international bestseller. And that was the basis of our mastermind from then on, and the book was highlighting how to create the perfect day.
Oh, I love that.
So that was kind of the fruit that came out of doing a mastermind. So I'm kind of reflecting on what you're saying is, if you can make a 5-star client experience for people in the room, it's going to benefit a lot of people, not just the people in the room, because what comes out of that can spread out to a whole lot more people.
Yep. So I'll tell you that one of the things we're looking at is launching a print newsletter, a subscription print newsletter. I'm a huge believer in print, and we do a free newsletter right now. In terms of 5-star client experience there, what I've noticed is a transition to a lot of these newsletters out there have become, I would really describe them as magazines. It's a lot of different reporters who are, a ton of different contributors, and it's missing a single authorial voice. It's missing strong theme, and it's also missing the old-fashioned rant. What do the great news entertainers do? I mean, he's now back in the seat. Jon Stewart, for example, he delivers a monologue at the beginning that has a bunch of headlines, but it's a single authorial voice going through it before there's a set of correspondents who get brought in. Same thing happens with like Bill Maher, right? He's going to do a rant, a monologue before we're going to have a panel discussion. That type of consideration to take something as simple as a print newsletter that most people go into. Unfortunately, a lot of info marketers go into it saying, I'm just going to have a bunch of contributors take care of the hard stuff for me. Well, why do you think you get a ton of unsubscribes? It's because there's not an authorial voice. There's not a reason for people to consistently tune in. And that is not a 5-star experience.
Well, it's clear that if you focus on the niche and you give people what they need and want, you're going to be a lot more successful if you show up as a real person. I like what you're doing. It sounds very similar, very comfortable. Let's jump into the question that you would give advice to a young man who's starting out in your business. What would you say do?
Go learn copywriting immediately and study the greats. Study Gary Bencivenga, Eugene Schwartz, Paris Lampropoulos, obviously going towards Gary Halbert, but study the greats of copywriting. That will take you very far in life.
Copywriting. Now that's a new advice piece I haven't heard before. So I'll take that one and say, young man out there, listen to a well-rounded individual who gave you some new advice.
Good.
Who's your living mentor right now? Who do you follow?
So right now, Brian Kurtz is one of my most important mentors. There's also Dave Freeze, who's a trust and estates attorney, but he also runs an organization called Business Black Ops, who's been for a long time a really important mentor for me. And I'm looking forward to finding some new folks who will be big mentors in my life. And there are some that are, say, from a distance. And when I look at it and go, I want a closer relationship, the first thing I look at is how do I buy my way into a room with that person? Because I know that if I get the chance to sit down with them, I'm going to build an exceptional relationship.
Yeah, I wrote that one down, Business Black Ops.
Yeah.
It's a new one for me. So glad you shared that with our group. Tell me, what do you want to be remembered for when it's all said and done, Charlie?
That word identity always comes to mind, Bill. And it's Dan Sullivan talks about freedom of purpose, freedom of money, freedom of time, freedom of relationships. And I would add to it freedom of identity, which is the freedom to be yourself, even in a professional space. I mean, look, I'm a modestly tattooed, very high energy, boisterous individual. And there was a time when I tried to not be that person. But in setting up my own shop, I was intentional, right? There's that word again at the beginning. I'm going to just live as me. And if it means that somehow I don't make more money, I'd rather make the money I'm supposed to make exactly as who I am, but also without having to force who I am. I like having tattoos, but I don't need to go out and get another one just because I'm the guy with tattoos, right? That would be falsehood. Can I just simply be me with all the energy, which funny enough drives my brother crazy, which I really love. But that's how I know that I'm doing it right, because I don't even tone it down that much for my brother, because I'm going to be who I'm going to be.
I like it. Individuality makes a difference. There was a poster in my practice when I was a young dentist, about 25 red apples, and right in the middle was a green one. Dare to be different.
Dare to be different.
How can we support you? Tell us about the besides law firm alchemy.com. How can we reach you?
Probably the best place would be connecting on LinkedIn. I love the conversations that go on over on that platform. That's why you and I are here today,
Yeah.
is LinkedIn. So Charley Mann, Charley, and get on there. And I promise you that if you get on there and engage, I will always engage back, and we can build a mutually beneficial space together.
Good, good. Well, we'll be glad to support you, recommend you. I'm in the lead generation business myself, and
Mm.
we use LinkedIn quite a bit. We understand it well. We have some secret sauce with LinkedIn to help any business grow their businesses bigger and better. So I do understand that LinkedIn connection. What would you have to say about your experience on the Influencers podcast today?
I mean, it's been a delight. I mean, we got to connect about GKIC, right? Like, there's only so many people who, when I start talking about this stuff, a lot of people react like, "Oh, wow, this is really cool," which is fun. It's fun to sort of show fire to a caveman, but I'll admit, it's even more exciting to find someone who also knows these core principles, who has studied these things, who's been in that common community. And so we just speak a common language. And I would be willing also to bet dollars to donuts that you have a wide enough range in terms of who you studied, that anyone who comes on here and talks about, say, those mentors, those influences, I bet that you are very good at like clicking in with them and understanding what they're talking about from a whole different mentorship. I probably could have gone down the Ryan Dice, Frank Kern alleyway, maybe Yannick Silver, and we'd still end up in a happy place of understanding and mutual appreciation for those folks.
Yeah, you could go to Armin Morin and Alex Kardashian. You could go a long way, and you could never stop with a good name.
Yeah.
I studied under Coach Blueprint with Mike Crow in Dallas.
Mike's great.
Yeah, all good people.
Oh,
All
yeah.
associated with GKIC.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really fun times. We're having a good one today on the Influencer Podcast. I want to give you the final word before we sign off with our audience. Go ahead, Charlie.
Well, folks, we talked a lot about identity today, and that remains a constant, and it's worth exploring. I'll be very quick in saying that I moved around a lot when I was younger, and there's a reason I ended up in theater, because it's the exploration of different behaviors, different identities, and every single time, one thing that you should have in your life is find a group of people where, when you choose to show up as a different but better version of yourself, they are excited to meet that person, and they're not waiting for you to fall back into old habits. If you have a group of people who are willing to support you and invite you to be the new you and want to meet the new you, that is how you will always grow in life. It's what I like to do both as a coach and as a facilitator of a mastermind group, is give people the space to become the new version of themselves. Find that for yourself in life. If we're working together, I'm excited for it already. I promise you I am. But wherever you find it, go and seek it. It will change your life forever and for the better.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Charley Mann, law firm Alchemy. Excellent dude. Somebody you can count on to help grow your law business. Hey, this segment of the show, just finishing up, we're going to talk about how you can reach me, get on the podcast yourself. Go to my digital business card if you want to, scan the QR code. We made that QR code with some digital products, and OTrim is how you make QR codes, get custom URLs. It's something we give away to all of our friends and clients. People want it, they can download it for free, and you can get that anytime you want it. Now, one of the things that we like to promote is a better way of doing things. And so OConnect is an up-and-coming video conferencing platform that we're introducing to the world coming up this week. So I want everybody to kind of be aware. We're going to be doing some changing in the world of video broadcasting, and it's going to be dynamic. It's going to be exciting. So keep your eyes out for the word OConnect out there. And that'll be from our group. And we have digital analysis of web traffic with OTracker. Things like this will change marketers' lives. Make it easier, faster, and much cheaper to do the things they normally do. So that's kind of what we're looking for to help you out. And again, if you want to be on the Influencers Podcast, just go to drbillwilliams.tv, my main webpage that explains it all. You'll be able to see Charley up there pretty soon. I'll put him up as a featured podcast host. He's an expert. You heard it today. You enjoyed it seeing Charley, I know. So thank you, audience, for being here. We'll look forward to having our next Influencers podcast coming up soon. Take care, guys.